This is the Cats and Pudding Podcast. A melting pot of pudding. And now, here's Jen.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Cats and Pudding. And today I have a great guest. We have Arzo Anwar, and so happy to have you today. We've met before, and
thank you for having me,
we're meeting
Jen.
again.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And you have a good story. You are come from Afghanistan to this country, and you were on a reality show. Obviously, with your background, you probably had some issues with parents, I understand, because you were on a show like that. Tell us about how this all transpired and how you came to get on the show.
On the reality show,
Yes.
on Bravo.
And this is Blood, Sweat, and Tears, right?
Blood, Sweat, and Heels.
Heels, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was
Blood,
on
Sweat, and
Bravo. I was on second season. I'm first generation from Afghanistan, so I grew up in California and moved here about 25 years ago to pursue my dream in fashion. It was kind of like a natural progression. We were thinking of me doing something for 10 years while we were in the showroom. And we had something that we were already working on called Garment District. And while we were doing that, we were doing a sizzle and kind of pitching that, this Bravo, the Blood, Sweat, and Heels kind of popped up. My friend Melissa Ford was on the show, and they were recasting and looking for new girls. We were the opposite of the housewives. So we weren't like women that were kept by our husbands. We were single women with our own businesses hustling in New York City.
Yes.
So in our heels.
We like
crying. No, I'm kidding.
And you were on the show for 2 years?
I was on the show for one season.
Okay.
Yeah, one season. So it took about 2 years to kind of film and for it to air and all that good stuff. I went to reality show boot camp. I mean, that's what it was, you know. I met Johnny, who we know together, and it was a natural progression. I'm like yourself, strong woman, strong personality, business owner. I started my business when I was 27 years old, so from my generation, a lot of girls weren't doing that. They were just getting married. So I always just had a dream. This was a dream of mine when I was 9 years old to move to New York to do what I'm doing right now. And I think the TV show just naturally came in, and they liked my personality, and they picked me up.
You have a great personality,
thank
too.
you.
I love it. Did it catapult your business, do you feel? Do you think it helped you?
I think it helped with, I was kind of a socialite in the city anyways and working in fashion. I produced fashion shows. I was always out marketing, networking. So I was kind of in the mix already. Did it catapult my business? Reality shows are tricky.
They are.
And especially coming from the fashion industry, nobody really thought it was anything great. They actually were afraid I was going to get into a fight or, that it was going to be something that could have been detrimental.
Yeah.
And you take your chances.
Yeah.
You never know how they're going to edit things.
Of course.
You never know what situations you might be put in. People are like, is it scripted? It's not scripted, but they put you in situations.
They put you in situations. It's funny that you say that because I was just telling somebody about that yesterday because I also do my other passion too is production, and I started a production company and been doing different real shows, scripted shows. So somebody that I'm working with now wants to do a reality show, and they're like, well, don't they tell you what to do? And I've been on a few reality shows too myself. I go, no, they give you an idea. So it's like, let's say, I swatted the fly. All right, well, yeah, you swatted the fly, but now you killed the fly, you killed the person, did you swat? Like they amp up everything that happens. So it's something that happens, but it's more amped up.
I call it, they put a battery in your back.
Yes, right.
So each scene that comes in, they put a battery in your back, and they're like, scurry on in.
Yes.
See what you can make happen from this. So that's really, and
it's embellished.
It is embellished.
But it's something that usually happens, but embellished. That's really what it is.
And I have a gentleman I know, his name is Ray Holiday. I remember when the whole reality thing was going on, we were doing, we were hosting something together, and the one thing he said to me, he was like, wow, you're like reality show special. He was like, you're so different because you kind of scurried away from every fight that could have ever happened. I'm a businesswoman.
Yeah, that's the way I am too. I mean, I don't, get me wrong, I do I can be confrontational when I have to be in the business world, but I don't when I've ever been offered to do something, I always weighed out going, is this going to hurt my business or is this going to help my business?
And that was always in the back of my head. That was one of the things. I mean, I think if I'm on a subway platform and somebody steps to me, I think I would handle it completely differently than when I'm being thrown into a scene and you don't know how it's all going to be, cut.
And cut and script and edit it. It's
I feel like I censored myself sometimes too. I mean, when I look back, I'm like, I should have done a little bit more. I should have done a little bit more. How many years ago
was that show?
2013, I want to say. Okay. 2012, 13.
Would you ever do another show again?
I would. There's a few different opportunities that have come up. I don't know if I would do like a ensemble cast unless it was something that, where I'm talking about my specialty or my expertise in something, I would want it more on an educational way rather than it being an ensemble cast, but who knows what can come up. I just don't know if I'd want to do like a catty reality show,
Yeah, I agree.
It depends.
I want to do something that's fun, and it's a couple things like even though I'm involved in it had to be fun. I said I don't want negativity, and I don't want that. And if I have to film for 13 weeks where I have to be away from my business and it's going to take away from my income and everything else, it's got to be something that's going to be fun and be uplifting. That's
like where they're teaching people something,
right? Exactly.
I've been a stylist. I've owned a showroom for so many years. All I've done is fashion since I was 15 years old, and
you are very stylish.
Thank you. This is my street clothes today.
Love it. I love it.
This was so last minute,
have,
so
like,
I just
the same kind of look on.
Yes, it's comfy but a little chic. You got your jewelry to it. Where if there is drama, there's a come out of it at the end of it,
and there's something that you learned from it, or it's like, it's not just like I'm gonna go punch this person in the face and we're gonna just have drama and go drink at them and that's it. No.
Yeah, like I could see myself, there was an idea thrown out, but to go into retail stores that are in their demise and bring them back up again, and teach the store owners how to run their businesses.
That would be great.
How to merchandise their stores and the correct hangers to use and the brands to buy and how to train your workers in good customer service and clienteling. Because there is none today at all
for these kids. That should be a reality show. We need to train these kids on customer service
or work ethic,
right? And work ethic. I really definitely think we talked about that with my last guest too. That it's like they think they're doing you a favor by serving you coffee. Like, dude, come on, stop. Take a little pride in what you're doing. Even look, no matter what, I know probably you're the same way as me. You are from Afghanistan. My parents are from Sicily. We were brought up differently as women, and we had to get married, had to have kids. That's it. There's no career. There's no this. That's all came generations later. That was, So, but you take pride in no matter what you did. No matter if you swept the chimney, like what my father said, you have to take pride in what you do.
And there's levels.
Right.
Like you can't just think, oh, I'm worth $100 grand salary. I just got out of college. Right. I have no work experience. Right. I mean, my parents have been together for over 50 years. Mm-hmm. My parents got married when they were 16 and 18 years old. Now I am leading a completely different life than them. I'm not leading the life that they probably saw for their daughter. Yeah, like I'm not married. I don't have children. I've been a career woman my whole life. I'm living a complete
culture different.
Very, know, and I've worked very, very hard. And then there's some times where I feel like my parents don't even think the things I have done are on a level of importance, right? Yeah. Because for them, it's
family and kids.
Yeah. Completely.
If you don't have a husband, then you don't have anything.
Basically. Right. But I've worked 16-hour days. I've traveled the whole world. I've managed teams. I've done really important things. I've had amazing opportunities. But to them, because they're so old school, those things aren't as lucrative as if, I lived in a gated community with like my Mercedes-Benz or Range Rover and my husband.
Exactly. They're like, maybe you should. Yeah, it's true. Listen, I have 3 daughters. I want that for. I do want them to have a stable family life. I want them to be, be moms, but I also want them to have careers. I want them to balance it. And you can balance it if you can, but you have to understand that, some things might suffer for that. And, or you have to say, I have my own business too, but I don't want to work 100 hours a week. I work 60 hours a week. That's still a lot. But I tried to keep a balance with my home because I didn't want to lose that much time with my children. Even though I did, but I lost a lot. But I tried to make it where at least I had like 1 or 2 days I know I could spend with them during the week.
I feel like as my generation and, our generation, I feel like we've ruined it. I think I heard you say earlier about feminism. I'm totally not a feminist myself either. I'm very old school. I do feel that everybody plays a role, but I was born in this generation where people were not wanting to get married for a really long time.
How old are you?
I'm 46 now. I'm turning 47 this year.
Yeah, that's when it started, probably around your demographic.
Yeah, I'm like a very young Gen X, very old millennial. I'm right on the cusp of the two, right?
You're on the cusp, because I'm totally Gen X. That's me. We Gen X, we were crazy, but I think that the millennials kind of really ruined it. I feel they did. I
think like that border is such a weird border because
is.
I think there was the baby boomers and the Gen X's before us, right?
Which were nuts.
Which did things that kind of trapped them in their lives, and you saw them be trapped in their lives, whether it was your uncles, your aunts. You saw them see life in a different way than you did, and they had a lot of regrets of not being able to live their lives.
Yes.
I mean, my mom's biggest thing was, I want you, she's an old school woman, right?
Yeah.
She got married when she was 16, and her job in her head when I was younger was, you could be a stewardess and travel the whole world, right?
And that was a big thing.
That was a big thing.
The stewardesses were like movie stars, and the pilots back then were like that.
And you dressed up,
yeah,
or they wanted to be, or she, I was very smart, because I had to be smart.
How about even going to college was a big deal for them.
Huge. They wanted me to go to college.
Yes.
I mean,
that was a big deal for them. And I know my parents too. My father never went to school and never graduated high school, so it was a big deal.
Scholastics were huge, and keeping their daughter close to home was very huge. Mm-hmm. And I was, honors classes, honors student.
You're not the only child.
I'm the only girl, though.
Oh, okay.
So I have two brothers. I have a younger brother and an older brother. 5
years. You're the middle child.
I'm the middle child. I was the youngest for 10 years, though.
Okay. How was that, getting that younger child?
I wanted him. I wanted my mom to have another kid. Like I feel like my brother was my son in some ways. Like we talk about soul ties and stuff. I'm like, maybe that's probably why I didn't have kids, because he kind of was somebody so close to me that I took on as my kid.
That's what kind of happened to my oldest sister is 17 years older than me, so she never had children. It's funny, both my brothers had kids, and neither one of my sisters had kids.
Interesting.
And I'm the baby, so I always because I lost my parents when I was young, so I always felt like they took care of me, and I was like their child, and my kids were like their children. So it's funny that you say that, because I see that whole how that would work with the soul ties and stuff like that.
And like we were talking about education, it's huge. I got accepted to go to UC Berkeley to become a lawyer, but my dream was to always work in fashion. And now that I'm older, I'm like, I wonder what my life would have been if I just stayed and went to law school.
You would have been
a little easier for me than the hustle that I'm running now.
You might have maybe met a lawyer, got married, and worked a very full-time job, but had kids, but still had that high power position that you had. This is more, you seem more of a creative person.
I am very creative.
Lawyers are
and that's where I couldn't see myself.
You look more creative to me. So if your creative mind probably wasn't being fed, you would have not been happy. So people who are creative have to be fed. I'm creative too, so I understand that if I'm not being fed, I'm like, I get crazy. I'm like imbalanced. So.
Yeah, no, I needed to feed my life. I think love and creativity are the most important things in life, right? Love for friends, love for a family, love for a partner, and just having love for your life. I think those are really important things. And then creativity. I don't think you have a life unless you're creative.
No.
And everyone's got their own creative outlet. I have a little niece. We're all creative. My brother makes stuff. I make stuff. I've worked in fashion. I started a fragrance brand 4 years ago after my fashion run of almost 20
What's
years.
It called?
It's called by Arzo. So I hand blend, hand pour.
Oh, I love that.
Fragrances.
I hope I get a sample today.
Oh, I brought you a little.
Good, I'm so
I brought
excited.
you a little set
Okay,
of
great.
stuff. So I start with making the oils, and then I create, Bath and Body products and home fragrance out of it. So candles, scrubs, lotions,
I love that.
but all on the level of like a Le Labo.
Yes,
I don't know if
very
you've
nice.
ever gone into the Le Labo store where they blend.
I heard. I've heard of it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Is that what your main business is
That's
now?
my main business.
That's
I started
amazing.
it out of my kitchen
Most
over
people
COVID.
do.
Over
Right?
COVID.
Wow.
And now I come from the wholesale industry from fashion,
Mm-hmm.
but I went direct to retail when I started the business, just e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally from my kitchen and my living room. And I turned it into a small 6-figure business the first year.
Nice.
So I've been, I'm on my 4th year now. We just started with boutiques. I have about 12 stores in the country.
Beautiful.
That we're selling to, but need some bigger purchase orders, you know? We're just kind of...
Is it more up? Do you feel like it's more up for you want to go more upscale stores, or would you willing to go into?
No, resort stores. I mean, I can
Resorts.
do private label, right? Like I can change my brand and not have it be my brand and do under the carpet business with some of these like lower stores. But if it's my label, it's finer. The price point's a little bit higher. Like, candles for 8 ounce are about $50, right?
Yeah.
More resorty stores like W Hotels,
Yeah.
the little stores in those kind of establishments.
Chic-y more
Yeah,
establishment. Yeah.
because the scents are luxury. They're not cupcakes and fruit. And
No, yes, that's true. That's true. That's amazing. And you started during COVID. A lot of people, I think, even though people were locked in, a lot of people became creative during COVID because they had to.
It was my hobby. That I just was like. Literally, a year before that, I had a friend in California I've known since 2nd grade. She's a pharmaceutical sales rep. And she was like, what have you been doing lately? I was like, I don't know, making candles. I was like, I'm so sick of spending $150 on candles. I've just been making them. My grandmother taught me how to make fragrance when I was younger. Just like bath products, old school cultures. They know how to do all sort of home remedies, home medicines. So it was just something and then, University of YouTube, a combination of both of that together. And also I'm a single woman. I have to support myself. I can't just live off of stuff. So I had to figure out how to be creative. So the year before that, started making these candles, and then Christmas, right before COVID hit, my friend was like, I need to buy 50 gifts, but I can only buy food. Can you invoice me for the candles, but say they're food? I'm like, well, they are soy, so they are food.
Yeah. That's great. So
and they love them, whoever received one.
I can't wait to try it. I'm so excited.
So that was kind of the thing. But again, entrepreneur life, it's a hustle,
It
right?
is a hustle,
Some months are greater than others,
Yes. Oh, I know.
I mean, you're an entrepreneur yourself.
I am. I built the business out of a destruction of a marriage. So
okay. Mine was the
bad.
destruction of a relationship as well.
It was bad. It was, it was the rug was pulled out from the door was pulled out from trap door was pulled out from under me, and it was either I was gonna succeed or I wasn't. And
was it divorce or just a boyfriend?
It was prison. Yeah, it was bad. It was prison. So I was like either
you got arrested.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I went to jail for a long time.
Okay.
So I was either gonna pack it in or I was gonna excel.
And how many kids did you have?
3.
Wow.
3. And went back to school to become a nurse practitioner and started my own business because I had to.
Were you a housewife before that?
I was I worked
Half
full
and half.
time, but I only worked at this point I only started working full time when I was 30.
Doing the same thing
I was
you're
a nurse.
doing now?
I became
Okay.
a nurse when I was 30. I was
Okay.
home with my kids until then, and then I went back to school, and I started working. And then I'm like, I loved working in the hospital, but I'm like, I got to do something else because this is just not enough money. And I loved injectables, and I loved being an injector. And I said, this is it. I'm going to do it. And I took my chance, and now I have my business now. So it was out of destruction that erupted this, this business.
Well, lots of beauty comes from destruction, and I'm a Scorpio, so I'm, I always rise up like the phoenix
out of
and then I
ashes.
burn down in ashes and recreate and regrow and build myself back up. I mean, that's really, I'm, controlled by the planet Pluto, so it's like total destruction, but total rebuilding. And, I was kind of like moving away from the fashion industry before that. I started my business when I was 27. It was about 15 years of having a showroom business, and it just changed a lot. Retail's changed, fashion has changed, everything was changing, and it was probably the best thing I did with COVID coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine having my space, in the fashion district while COVID was happening, and
yeah, a lot of things changed.
Yeah.
And it's still changed. And I can't believe it's already almost 5 years since
I know.
COVID hit. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
What we went through, it was nuts. It was crazy. I can't believe it. But people lost a lot. But I think also people got closer during COVID. I know my family got closer. Things were, people had to live simpler lives then. And you know what? Maybe that's better. I don't know. Maybe it might be better because it was kind of, as much as it was a blessing, a curse, it was also a blessing, I think.
I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. I did. I loved it too.
I loved COVID. Not that I loved
didn't
COVID.
love it. I didn't love being locked up, but I loved being with my family.
And I
did.
love the fact of not having FOMO. Like, I didn't feel the fear of missing out. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. I didn't feel like I had to show up for anything. And working so much, it was the first time where, like, I could sleep.
Yeah.
I could just, like, in the middle of the day sleep. When does that ever happen?
Never.
So I kind of liked it, and I think there was so much funding and stuff that none of us,
Needed to worry.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's
a
true.
big worry thing. But I did need to create. I did create something that I feel is me, and it's definitely my next chapter in my life as to where I am now in my
that's
mid-40s, right?
Well, that's still young for us because our lifespan is so much, at this point, like.
But they say we're middle-aged now.
I know. I'm 54.
Whenever I hear
I'm a lot
that.
older than you. I'm 54. I'm a half a century old.
Yeah, you're
Isn't
my
that
brother.
crazy?
You're around my older brother's age.
I just turned 54.
But, I mean, they don't tell you that when you're younger, that you're middle-aged at 40. Because if you really think about it, most people die around 80, 85
that's
or whatever. I didn't think about that. And then living in New York City, and tell me if I'm wrong. I know you're right.
Yes.
Are you in Long Island or Staten Island?
I'm in Queens. I'm in Brooklyn.
In Queens. Okay,
Brooklyn.
okay.
Borderline of Queens and Brooklyn.
I think living in New York, like the average age right now for women to have a baby is what, 42 or 43?
Yeah.
You're constantly told you have time, you have time, you have time. And then my last relationship, which was in my early 40s, thinking that this is going to be it, and it doesn't. I didn't have time. You don't take into account those moments where, and coming from the background that I come from, I never wanted to have a baby out of wedlock.
Yeah.
It's not that I never had the opportunity to have a child. I wanted a husband.
Yeah.
I never wanted the baby mama label on my head. But at this age, looking back, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And
Who
that's
cares?
Good. It doesn't matter. If your life is your life and you're happy with what you've accomplished in your life, that's all that matters. It might not be in the cards for you to have children.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? It's okay.
But it also would have been okay to be a baby mama. That's
Right.
what I'm saying,
It would
too.
have been okay. Right. It would have been okay to be a baby mama,
Yeah.
too. It's okay. It's fine.
But it goes back to old school cultural parents. Somebody said this to me recently, just this fashion week. It was, sometimes you meet random spirits. Didn't know him. He was a stranger.
And they say the greatest things to you, right?
It was the best line to me. And he was like, oh, how old are you? We were just saying, oh, you don't have children. I was like, God, I was like, but they say women are getting pregnant in their 40s and mid 40s. I'm like, if it happened now, I'd keep it,
Of course.
But he said, and I said, for me, it was always the way my parents had control over my mind and the decisions I made was for them a lot, right? And he said, you know what it is? They say that your parents are your first cult that you have to break away from.
Wow.
Do you know how much that set in with me, Jen? And I said, wow, that is so true, because the way my parents conditioned my head and my brain as to thinking like, oh my God, I'll never want to be a baby mama or have a baby out of wedlock. It was kind of their conditioning.
Yes, it was. It wasn't, and you know what? It would have been okay if you had a baby and you weren't.
Yeah, but you're
married.
thinking all about that, and then
Right.
it's like, our parents are older. They're going to pass,
Yeah.
and then you're going to be left with your family.
Right, exactly.
So you don't, I don't know. I guess for me, being first generation, that cult of the parents, yeah, they had a good hold on my head, you know? So I would have changed a couple of things like that. I would have been like, fine, I'm going to have a baby out of wedlock, right?
And it would have been okay.
And it would have been
and
okay.
you want me to tell you something? If you would have had one out of wedlock, as much as you thought your parents weren't going to be upset about it, they would have loved that baby anyway.
I know. I never
know
thought
that?
about that in
That's
my
what you
30s,
should-
though.
yeah. Because
those are all things that are now coming
to
me.
light. Yeah. But you know what? They would have been fine. They might have been like the first, but when that baby would have born, it would have been fine.
Yeah, because I see them with my brother's kids, and of course my brothers are both married. One brother has 4 kids, the other one has.
And I bet you're the best
one.
aunts in the world.
Oh my
All the kids
God!
love you to
What?
death.
I'm like, I went to when my niece turned 21. We went to the bar, go to the bar together. We look like we're sisters, like.
I love that. And they must love spending time with you too.
They do.
So,
they
you
do.
You also have those blessings too.
Absolutely.
So you have
absolutely.
to think about
I don't
that.
feel like I'm missing out on anything, but that comment that gentleman said to me was, your parents are your first cult you have to break free from. I was like, huh. It's interesting. Because some people rebel. Some children will rebel against everything their parents say.
Absolutely.
And me, I definitely didn't do what they wanted me to do, but
you did not do it either.
Right.
You did not do it. So it was like a double-edged sword for you. Well, I'm sure they're very proud of you.
Yes.
I'm sure. Because how could they not be? Look at you. It's amazing what you've accomplished. And
Thank you.
We're half a century old. Oh my God, it's horrible. It's so bad. Well, at least it's not 1920 because we'd be dead by now. Because Half-Life was 25 years old then.
Well, the good thing is we do look better now than we ever have. And, when I was younger, when you were 30, 35, everyone looked old.
I know. There was only like certain parents that looked really good. Like my parents were those parents that looked extremely awesome. Like, but not everybody's parents look like that.
My mom looks great.
But not everybody's parents looked like that
No.
in those days. I'm like, everybody looked old. I think it was just the 70s. Everything was greasy. And all I think of that, the 70s was greasy, hairy, and brown. That's what it was. And brown paneling. It was like the ugliest style clothes, like and the browns and the oranges and the mustards. And it was just the way it looks portrayed in the movies is the way it was. It was just so, it was like no colors. It was just brown.
It was so funny.
And everybody's hair was greasy and they just everybody looked older beyond their years.
You just explained the Pantone
Right?
of a retro 70s
That's
right
what
there.
it is. And that's how you picture it, right? With paneling on the wall, green carpet,
Wood
orange.
paneling, yeah.
Oh, it was just brown.
Shag carpet.
I
do like some of the pieces, don't get me wrong.
No,
I
I
like the
do
little
too.
moon and lava lamps and
Yes,
shit
that
like
I do. But the mood, I don't know. It was creepy, and the New York was dirty, was filthy. I mean, it's almost as filthy as it was then now, but it was filthy then. It was gross. So I don't know. I think now it's like you said, well, you look much better. But you know what? We still are that age. Like some days I wake up, I feel like I'm 18, and other days I wake up, I feel like I'm 118.
No, I know. I was looking at my pictures from the photos we took last night, and I was like, I feel old.
But you're not. But you look great.
I was like, let me wash on my face
You
a little
look
bit
great.
more today.
You look great.
Thank you. You do too, Jen.
So why don't you tell everybody where we can find you?
So-
are you selling online?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
please.
Selling online by arzo.com. So there's, of course, the fragrances and all the products I make.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a curated section on the site, too, that is my jewelry and,
Oh, I love it. Is that you selling
Yes.
that piece? Because
Yes,
I love
yes,
that.
the
I was
double.
watching it. I was looking at it. I was coveting it while I was
Yeah,
just saying it.
this one too. So I
Love
make
it.
these custom. So that's on there just because you'll never take my, my stylist background away from me. So it's a curated section there. And then I also still do consulting with brands and, buyers or anybody that wants to get into the fashion industry. And that's called blendshowroom.com. That's my consulting business.
Love that. And what about social media?
Social media, so just my name, Arzo Anwar, and then at by Arzo would be my brand.
Okay,
So
and I'm
pages.
gonna start following you too.
Thank you.
I think I did follow you the other
I can't
day.
wait to hear what you think about the scents I brought
Oh,
you.
I'm so excited to try it. I'm so happy that you came on the show. And I'm happy to try. I can't wait to try your products. And I love candles. I love everything. I love all that stuff. And I just got a brand new bathroom in my house with a steam room and a beautiful tub. So I can't wait to light it and sit in there and
We can
smell
get you a
it.
diffuser for your bathroom
Yeah.
in your med spa as well too.
I would love that.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that too.
Okay.
So we have some stuff to talk about.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
It was so nice to have you on, and I love to have you back again too. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you everybody for tuning in. And I'd like to thank my sponsor, Dolce Bean Cafe, for old school Italian cafe right in the heart of Ridgewood, Queens. You need to try them. They have the best espresso, coffee, cappuccino, lattes, all imported directly from Italy. Their paninis of pastries and gelato is the best. Mwah! Delicious. Dolce Bean Cafe. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for tuning in.